Good morning. Tuesday morning. Um, Hope everyone is staying cool. It is still crazy hot out there. Um, I put my dog out last night, and even super late, it was so hot. So hot. Um, this is going to be a rough week for sure. I told my husband, well, I mean, we kind of have an agreement about the summertime that once it gets over a certain heat level, there's no real cooking going to be taking place. Um, but every year I have to remember what we do instead. Like, I don't know, make sandwiches or salad, different things. I don't know, but it always like comes as a surprise to me, and I'm always trying to remember what I need to get in the house, so that we don't just get takeout, because that's no good. But good morning, Deb. Good morning, Dora. Um, yeah, so I think we've officially reached that, which is crazy because I think last week my son made chicken noodle soup for everyone, which, I mean, it was good, but the idea of having that this week makes me like terrified. So I don't know. We're we're officially in the deep part of summer now. So actually, we could talk a little bit about Ayurveda and summertime. So um, you may find that different people feel differently about the summer weather. Some people love this type of weather. A person with a very vata, what they call vata constitution, um, they typically just really adore this hot and even the humid weather very, very much to their liking, and they kind of thrive in it. Um, but other people don't like it at all. uh, what we want to do is kind of counteract what's going on with the weather. So obviously, eating a bit lighter. Um, I wouldn't say Ayurveda has a lot to say about salads, that they aren't really good to eat. The idea of eating raw food is kind of not. Um, it's not especially popular in Ayurveda. And there's, I mean, a couple reasons for this, and often I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that Ayurveda is from India. And I know when I was in India, we were cautioned to never eat anything raw, simply because of the farming practices and um, the the possibility that there would be stuff on the the uh, the vegetables and things. So you always wanted to peel things or cook them. So I'm wondering if that isn't, part of that bias against raw food. Um, but I mean, we've also had, vegetable recalls and things in this country. So maybe it's not such a bad idea that we cook most of our food if we can. Um, but the idea with Ayurveda is that cooking the food makes it more digestible. That eating raw food is actually pretty hard on your digestive system, and that lightly cooked food, even just lightly cooked, makes it breaks it down a little, makes it easier to eat. Fruit in Ayurveda is a popular food, but it's supposed to be eaten separate from other foods. Again, because it's raw, because there's a aspect of digestion to it that makes it a little harder to digest. And when you eat it with other types of foods, you have the possibility of kind of getting this sort of fermentation thing going on with the the vegetables, or I'm sorry, the fruit, as it's not really digesting as quickly as the other things that you've eaten. Um, so that's something you might try if you. I know some people do have issues with eating fruit, like they'll get a stomach ache, or um, it just doesn't sit with them that well. So you might try that. If you're going to have fruit, eat it separately, um, and a little space away from other things that you eat. Um, and then, basically lighter types of foods. Ayurveda is all about eating seasonally. So if it's something that is available um, locally, like it's being grown in your local area, then this is probably a really good time to be eating it. Your body will um, digest it and process it pretty well. And if you think about the things that we're growing now, that makes some sense, right? It's all pretty easily digestible. Most of it doesn't need to be cooked much, so it's simple to prepare. It doesn't take a great deal of time and effort, like a winter squash or something like that. Um, so, yeah, that's a good way to kind of, um, keep your digestion going in this time. And then also, trying to avoid the extremes of temperature. And of course, in this country too, it's a little different because we have so much air conditioning. We've kind of changed how things are for us. So normally, we would be dealing with the stress of this heat, but we also would be accustomed to it because we would have be dealing with it all the time. Um, and that is pretty clear. I mean, they've done studies about how uh, people who um, live without air conditioning adjust differently to the temperatures than people who do, and that there is actually more stress on your body going from air conditioning to non-air conditioning back and forth. And then the idea of also, um, I remember, over at Garfield Park, Sean, the girl who was often at the desk, or she was working around. She'd be walking around. Um, I would see her bundled up in the corner with a blanket and like a space heater, because her particular room where she had an office, I guess, got so cold because of the central air that she actually was wearing a blanket to stay warm. Um, so your house probably isn't quite that extremely um, cold, but there are places that you may go into that are extremely cold, or you may have areas of your house where you are. So um, again, trying to avoid the extremes, right? So if you feel like, again, like turn the AC down a little bit. Maybe it's enough to get some of the moisture out of the air, that you don't really need to keep it as cold as you do. And trying to balance things out a little bit more. That's Ayurveda is all about, trying to find that balance within the body, and you know even things out. So trying to stay cool, trying to stay um, kind of don't get too don't get too spun up, or um, not doing strenuous exercise. I mean, some of what we do here, like our asana, I notice that the asana I do in the summer versus the winter changes. And that's one reason I like doing um, yoga in a less climate controlled condition, because you get that physical cue, right? When you're in like a superheated studio that's 100 degrees or whatever all the time for hot yoga, there's no there's no changing, right? You're doing the same thing all the time um, in the same environment, and you aren't getting those cues to, oh my gosh, well, it's really hot, maybe we should ease off. Or you get started and it's cold. My studio here is on top of, not this room, but where I have my studio is over top of garage, and it's pretty cold in the. We have space heaters, but it gets pretty cold in the winter. So um, you definitely do more. Like you do more warm up. You try to heat the body up. That's the whole point of some of what we do in the beginning. The sun salutations and things like that are basically just to get the body heated up. Um, they're also good, to developing shoulder strength and core strength, but um, their main um, use in asana is to heat the body up. So it's not really required this time of year to do that very much. You get heated up pretty quickly. Um, a lot of times we are carrying, just like a level of heat in our body during the summer that we don't need to agitate, right? We don't need to get that to flare up. We want to keep it nice and steady. So, um, yeah, working with Ayurveda through the seasons. So we want to be aware of what's going on around us in terms of weather, season, um, in terms of our own body, in terms of um, our kind of stage of life, right? So as we get older, we're moving into a more vata, what they call vata stage of life, which means things are kind of drying out and we are getting a little colder, not running as hot as we did maybe in our 40s, 30s, and 40s, and even into the 50s. We were more pitta, more um, with a lot more of that sort of internal heat. But we lose some of that. Some of that kind of dissipates as we get older. Um, so we might want to bring some of that back in, um, but you know, in a moderate way. We don't want to like go overboard. So you may not, and you may or may not. Like you may, as you've gotten older, maybe you tolerate the heat. Maybe you don't. Um, Certainly, you may feel the cold more, right? So you may notice, and I've certainly noticed that over the past few years that um, cold didn't seem really bother me that much, but now I'm kind of like, I don't really like that. Of course, I still don't like the heat either, but I don't know. I want that middle ground. I don't know where I'm going to find that, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that place to live where it's like 75 degrees and no humidity, or like, you know, a little tiny bit of humidity. That's my current thing, is trying to figure out what level of humidity is the right one for me. So I think it's somewhere around 40%. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure. So if I could find some place that it's like 40% humidity and 75, I would be great. The problem is there's no place on earth where it could be like that forever, right? Because that is completely an artificial construct. How would plants grow? How would animals survive? How would anything do its cycle of life in this sort of static place? It wouldn't work. So I'll never get there, but that's okay. I'll enjoy my few days of the year that are like that, and just wish for more. Um, all right. So let's do asana. Um, and as we do this, think about how you're feeling. Think about the heat level in your body. If you feel like it's rising too fast, maybe slow down a little. Maybe skip something if you feel like you're really getting overheated. Keep breathing, right? Breath is two things. I mean, the breath can heat you up, but it can also cool you down. Um, it does both at the same time. So if you need to be heated up, it'll do that. But if you need to cool down, it'll do that. So just keep breathing, um, and that will kind of help you regulate what's going on with that. All right. So we're sitting up tall. Look, I usually sit with my right leg out in front, but today I'm going to do it the other way. So if you do that, if you have one way that you always sit cross-legged, try doing it the other way. And let's do that for the whole practice. If you have something that you normally do in a certain way, one arm over top of the other, one hand, try doing it the other way, just for something different. It'll feel really awkward, like this feels really strange and uncomfortable, but it's good to try something different and not always be stuck doing things exactly the same way. Take your deep breath and then drop your head down, chin toward the chest, and then moving it around, big circle. One way and then the other. Back to center. Lean forward and move around. Back to your seat. Arms wide. Breath in. Exhale, hands together. Inhale, arms wide. And exhale, hands together. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands, we're gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. One more, lifting up. Right arm comes down, reach across with the left. Switch sides. And then back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Coming into tabletop. Let's sit back on the heels. Child's pose. And then we're going to do rabbit here. So if you're not sure how to do this, I'm going to tell you before I show you because I can't speak if I'm showing it to you. We're going to tuck the chin. So the crown of the head, this very top part of the head, rests lightly on the mat. Arms are by your side. We're reaching back for the heels or the ankles. You could slip the fingers underneath the ankles. What we want is something to kind of hold on to here. So as we rest this head lightly, we're lifting up the hips. And what we hold on to here kind of acts as a brake, so we can't go too far forward. We don't want to put a lot of weight on the top of the head or the neck area. We just want to lightly rest that, and the arms are what kind of help stop you from going too far forward. And then going back down, I'm going to bring the arms in front and just stack the fists, rest the forehead down, and breathe. And if you have trouble with rabbit, like tucking the chin, or if you don't have the neck kind of flexibility to get that happening, you can always just do this. Just stack the fists, rest your forehead down. And moving back up. Tabletop. Let's do a couple sets of cat-cow just to loosen up through the spine. Inhale, we're lowering the belly, lift up the head. Exhale, draw the belly in, press down the hands. We're gazing down toward the mat. And then just moving as we breathe. Inhale and exhale. And finish up the set that you're on. Back to your neutral spine, then flip the toes, lift up, downward dog. Take one more breath, and then we're going to walk the feet up to the hands. We're going to fold here for a few breaths. You might have a little bend in the knees if things feel tight. It's all good. And then slowly rising up to stand. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift the arms high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, right foot steps back. Drop your knee, arms overhead. One more breath in, and then we're going to bring the hands down to the mat, step back, downward dog. Inhale, high plank, and then lower down. Inhale, lift, head and chest. Lower, Inhale, lift. And lower. Once more. Inhale, lift, head and chest. And lower. Make your way back up. Tabletop to downward dog. Take one more breath. And then on the exhale, we're going to step right foot up to the hand. Drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift, arms overhead. Back to mountain. Breath in and out. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, left foot steps back. Drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands down to the mat, moving back, downward dog. Inhale, high plank. And lower. Inhale, lift, head and chest. Lower. Inhale, lift, head and chest. And lower. Once more, lifting head and chest. You could always do an upward dog here if you wanted to. I don't want to do that today, so I'm not. And then moving back, tabletop to downward dog, or straight to downward dog if you were an upward dog. Take one more deep breath. And on the exhale, we're stepping left foot up. Drop the knee, arms overhead. And hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up and fold. Inhale, lifting to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift high. Back to mountain. Breath in, breath out. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we're stepping back with the left. Drop the knee, arms overhead. Hands to center. Take a breath in, and then we're twisting to the right. So you could hook the elbow and press against that. If you don't want to be so far forward, you could be more upright. Bring that left hand down, press against it, pull the right shoulder back. And then back to center. We're going to bring the right hand down by the foot. Left arm lifts. Both hands down and kind of walking them out a little bit, or however you want it to be, right? So we're working into this lizard pose. So if you want more, you're going to come down more. You might walk the hands out. You could even come down onto the forearms, right? But you can also be back here if it feels tight and you don't want to do as much, right? Your choice, whatever intensity you are looking for today. And then come on back up. We're going to walk the hands back, straightening out. The right leg, you might have to wiggle the foot forward a little bit. And then we're going to fold over. You might still have a bend in the knee. We're working to kind of straighten it, but if hamstrings are tight, you're not going to get it all the way straight. That's okay. We're just folding over as much as we can. Breathe. And then let's set the foot down, bending back into that knee. You might have to scoot the foot back a little bit. Hands by the foot, flip the back toe, and step up. Fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the arms. Back to mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, stepping back with the right. Drop your knee. Arms overhead. Hands to center. Take your breath. And then we're twisting to the left. Same thing, hook the elbow or staying more upright. It's your choice, doesn't really matter. We're just taking the twist. That's really what this is about. And then come on back to center. Left hand down by the foot, right arm lifts. And then both hands down to the mat. Same thing here. Whatever you want to do. Breathe. And then walk the hands back, straightening out that left leg as much as you can, and then maybe folding over. Breathe. Set your foot back down. Hands up by the foot, step the back foot to meet the front. Fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Arms overhead. Back to mountain. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale, lift, arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we're stepping back. Downward dog. Inhale, forward to high plank. Hold here for a breath. And then drop your knees and lower down. Head turns right. Arms by the side. Take a few breaths. Bring your head back to center. We're going to leave the arms by the side. Just rest the palms on the mat. And then we're going to start lifting up head and chest and the arms and the legs. Take one more breath. And lower down. Head turns left. Bring your head back to center. And let's bring the arms out in front. We're going to stack one forearm over top of the other. And this is a good place to switch arms, right? So if your right arm is always on top, try putting your left arm on top instead. Rest the forehead down. We're going to keep the forehead stuck to the arms. And then we're going to start lifting up head and chest and the arms together, and then lift the legs. Then lower down. And we can just relax here for a few breaths. And then let's extend the arms out in front. And we're going to roll up on one side. So I'm going onto the left side just so I can face you, but whichever side you want to be on is fine to start. So you can keep that left arm, or the bottom arm, I should say, extended, or you could bring it up to rest your head. We're going to bend the top knee and then maybe extend. So if you can catch a hold of the toe, you could extend and hold your leg. You could grab the ankle, you could grab the back of the leg, whatever you want to do. And if you can't extend all the way, that's okay. Just find where you can. And then we're trying to kind of extend here, but also stay balanced on the hip. It's a little tricky. If you have a lot of trouble with it, you could bend this bottom leg behind you to give you a little bit of a kickstand, right? That'll give you a little more stability. But just see how it works. If you roll over, it's no big deal. And then bending the knee, set the leg back down. We're going to roll onto the other side. So I'm going to be facing away from you, but we're going to do the same thing. So right, so bending that top knee, catch a hold of the foot or whatever you got here, and we're going to balance. And then releasing it down. We're just going to come all the way onto your back. So just scooting over on the mat. And getting comfortable here. Take a few breaths. And then we're going to hug that right knee into the chest. Keeping the rest of the body relaxed on the mat. And if it's hard to get a hold of the shin, maybe just grab the back of the thigh. One more breath here. And then we're going to start lowering this right knee out to the side. The rest of the body stays flat on the mat. Breathe. Bring that knee back to center. And now we're going to bring it across the body. So we're rolling up on that left hip. Taking a twist. Trying to keep the shoulders flat on the mat, but this right shoulder may be coming up some. That's okay. Moving back to center. Let's hug that thigh back in. And we've got the hands behind the back of the thigh. So you can extend that leg if you want. And then bend the knee and extend the right leg. We'll switch now. We've got left leg, we're hugging in close. Breathe. And then lowering that knee out to the side. Keep breathing. Bring that knee back to center. And then we're going to draw it across the body, rolling up on the right hip. Breathe. Back to center. Bring the hands behind the back of the thigh, drawing that leg in toward the body. And maybe extending the leg if you want. And then bending the knee, extend both legs long. Take a few breaths. Bend the knees, soles of the feet to the mat, getting ready for bridge. So heels back close toward the body, hands by your side, palms resting on the mat. And then we're going to press down with the hands and the feet, lifting up the hips. If you want to interlace the fingers underneath, you can. Breathe. And then slowly lower down. Bring soles of the feet together, knees apart. deep breaths. And then bring knees together. Let's hug them into the chest. Rock a little side to side. Extend the legs straight up. Arms are by your side, palms resting on the mat. And then you can lower one leg at a time, both legs together, your choice. And then finding a very comfortable place to rest on the mat for Shavasana. Find that steadiness. Sink down into the mat. Really let everything go here. If your mind is rambling, come back to that focus. Whatever your focus is. Maybe a word or an image. Something that brings you joy or makes you feel at peace. Hold that focus loosely. Right? We don't want the focus to become another sort of jumping off point for thought and analysis. We just want it to be present. We want to observe its presence without discussion or analysis or concerns. Sometimes I think of meditation, this idea of holding things loosely. And I think about what grandparents say about their grandchildren, how much they enjoy them, but how much they enjoy when they can let them go home with their parents, right? So that idea of enjoyment without attachment, without a heavy sort of responsibility. That's how we want to enjoy our life, right? We want to be engaged, but not overwhelmed. To appreciate without feeling burdened. To notice our enjoyment of the world without the feeling that it's all going to go, right? I mean, it is, right? We know that. Everything is temporary, everything changes. The trick is to enjoy it while it lasts without caring about the short term nature of everything, right? That's what it is. We accept that. We know that even though this beautiful thing is going to wither and fall like a beautiful flower, there'll be more. There'll be different flowers. Next year, there'll be even more flowers. Um, what we need to do is remember to plant more flowers, right? So we keep working away, we keep tending our garden, right? We plant more flowers, knowing that the flowers we have will pass on and we'll need more to come. But we don't get any attached or so attached to any one flower because we know um, there'll be more coming. But we love the flowers when they're there. We can appreciate them and enjoy them for what they are instead of our projection of what they should be. And I think sometimes that's what's so enjoyable about that relationship between grandparents and grandchildren is it is a true appreciation without responsibility. I should say without direct responsibility, right? Um, you can see that child for this beautiful person that they are, knowing that you don't have to make them eat their vegetables or clean their room. That's all. That's all other people's problems. If they choose to make it those problems, right? Um, that relationship is maybe closer to any kind of relationship we want to have with the things around us. Um, Loving and appreciative without feeling the need to control, feeling the need to make it all reflect on us in some way. So let's be grandparents to our life, to our world. Let's use that perspective of age to love things as they should be loved. When you feel ready, moving again, fingers and toes, hands and feet. If you need to stretch, you can do that. And then we're just going to make our way up to a seat. We'll bring hands together. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Thank you for taking some time today to do yoga, to come to your mat, and to share it with all of us here. I hope you have a really great rest of the day and stay nice and cool. Namaste. Thank you for coming to yoga today. Um, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, that you stay cool, you find something to do. Um, I find myself getting kind of bored because I can't go outside. I mean, I could, but I don't want to. So I'm trying to find some things to do to keep me occupied in the house. I didn't realize how much I am outside in the summer. At least this year, I seem to be a lot. So um, I think it also has to do with everyone is in my house. All of my kids, my husband having meetings in his office, our office that we share all day long, talking on the phone, listening to stuff. There's just a lot of noise, and I think I'm used to things being quieter. So maybe I've been escaping to the outdoors. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go hide in my car or something. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Something. Okay, so no class tomorrow. Have my own class in the morning, my Zoom call, and that will be Wednesdays for the next 5 weeks. It's a class on meditation and the Bhagavad Gita, which is um, a big Hindu. I guess it's a holy book, but it's interesting. It's a long sort of story, and it's all about it's a story about a battle, and which seems kind of like odd, but it's kind of a myth and a legend. But it also, the subtext of it is how to deal with our minds and how to get things so that we are able to uh, take control of our minds and how our minds are working, and how to kind of work that, and how meditation can help us with that. So hopefully learn some more stuff, and that will be good. Yeah, you're also bored inside, Deb? Yeah, I know. I mean, it's what it is. I know this won't last. We'll definitely get a break. That's one good thing about Delaware. I gotta believe there are places where once you're in, you're in. I can't imagine what it must be like in Florida or places further south. But I think in Delaware we do get a break. We'll have a few days of better weather, or a week maybe. So I'm just waiting for them. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. So I will be back Thursday, and I will see you then. Have a great day.